I'm Mary Starr with the Wake to Truth podcast. We are happy to have with us once again today the deplorable Jaz McKay. Hi, Jaz.
Hi there, Mary. Good to see you.
It is good to have you back. It's been a hot minute since we were on chat together.
Yeah, things went amazingly well. I mean, I wasn't surprised. I had several of my friends who weren't as confident as I was texting me. I had predicted 312 since Mary and I spoke last time we spoke. There was a few weeks to go before the election. I went all in. I went all in with my predictions, and I had a couple of people say, Mr. Crystal Ball there. I said, yeah, you know what? All the swing states are going to go to Trump. My prediction, 312 electoral votes. I was a little bit on the fence in regards to the popular vote, but I had my fingers crossed. I was talking to God, and I had many conversations with the Lord. And I said, God, as a matter of fact, here, let me show you something. See, here's, I got a little Jesus for you, Mary.
Aw,
that's my
thank
little
you.
Jesus. And I keep him right next to me here at my desk in at my spot. And I talk to Jesus, I can't tell you how many times. And he basically said to me, or at least what I believe he answered my prayers by saying, have faith, Jaz, have faith.
Yes.
And I did,
Yes.
and I still do. And I see nothing but great things. There is the hand of the Lord is guiding this country again for
Amen
the
to
first
that.
time in a very long time. And I'm
Very
66
long.
years old. People my age, people Mary's age and older understand what I'm saying here when I say this. I've seen a lot. I was actually alive before JFK was killed. All right. That's how old I am. And I think that was the turning point for this country. I think there was an element of evil that grabbed this country and murdered President Kennedy. And I think they've had control of this country since then. And
I
you can say
agree.
what you want to about Donald Trump, but I believe he was sent by God.
Yes, I agree with that too. There are plenty of people that would disagree, but you cannot look me in the eye and tell me and expect me to believe you that when that bullet missed him, when he turned his head at the very nanosecond he had to turn it and it missed him, clipped his ear. If you think that wasn't the hand of God, you've got another thought coming.
I'm telling you, there is, I told my son this the other day, my son who was completely disengaged again. I mean, Mary knows a little bit about my son. He was addicted to methamphetamine and fentanyl and heroin for a long, long time. He's almost 38 years old, I think. Yeah, 38. He just turned 38. He turned his life around. And a lot of that has to do with, I think, my prayers. I
No
got to a
doubt.
point where I had to literally walk away and put it in the hands of the Lord and ask God to do what was best. And I'll leave it to you. And I just backed off and I stopped enabling him and whatnot. And over the course of about the past 4 years, he slowly turned his life around. I wouldn't say he was a liberal, but he lives on the central coast of California. And so you can imagine what he thinks and what he thought of Donald Trump and conservatism and whatnot. And I suggested he start watching some podcasts, and about a year ago, and people like Joe Rogan had an effect on him. People like Rick Rubin had an effect on him. And young people like Charlie Kirk had an effect on him. And he has completely turned his life around in a little over a year.
Well, praise God for that. That's
amazing.
God's
work. That's God's work right there. And I think we're seeing that. I think we're seeing that in a national. I think we're seeing that nationwide. And as I have said,
I agree with that.
We owe. Let me say this, Mary. You and I did not save this country.
No.
We did our part, surely, but we didn't save this country. the people that deserve, I mean, like I said, I'm an old man. I'm 66 years old. I retired from talk radio 4 years ago, and we did what we can do as old white people. But the truth is, the young people,
Yes.
they did it.
They did it.
You cannot tell me, and Mary, you know this, when was the last time that you can remember, let's start with your lifetime. When was the last time in your lifetime that the 18 to 34 crowd swung to the Republican Party?
It hasn't happened.
It's never happened. When was the last time the African-American vote swung to over 30% to the Republican Party?
Never.
The Hispanic vote, 40s, close to 50% to the Republican Party. I'm telling you, we owe a great debt of gratitude, first and foremost, to God the Father.
Yes, amen.
The Charlie Kirks, the Scott Presslers, the Ben Shapiros, the young people that were, especially Pressler and Kirk, because of the groundwork that they laid. Oh, literally, Pressler moved to Pennsylvania with one goal in mind, to flip Pennsylvania, and that dude did it. That's another one.
He did. He did an amazing job. I'm glad you used the word historic, because I equate this to what they said after we entered World War II. They said, we have awakened a sleeping giant.
Sleeping giant.
And that was a direct quote from a Japanese man who saw what had happened and what was going to happen. He saw what was going to happen.
He was a military leader who had a great insight into this country. It was a hopeless. They were in. He knew they were involved in a hopeless war.
Yeah. Well,
but I would take it all the way back to 1776. I mean, this is as big. Yeah. This is as big as what this battle that we are fighting right now is as big and as important as George Washington's fight against the British Empire. This is, and I'll tell you something too. Those young people I mentioned, those minorities, all the minorities who are coming together, the RFKs, and think of it this way: the RFKs, the Tulsi Gabbards, the Democrats who are joining us on our side, because it's not just Democrats. It's not just Republicans. This is a MAGA movement. And that's what's important to keep in mind. Because I despise the elitist Republicans with as much. By the way, just so everybody knows, I'm not a registered Republican. I have actually only been a registered Republican once in my life, and it was for a very short period of time. I'm a registered independent, and I have been. For the most part, most of my life, I voted Libertarian. I only voted Democrat once in my life. That mistake got us 4 years of Jimmy Carter. So, but I learned my lesson then, changed my party affiliation to Libertarian for a number of years, and then because of the fact I was in radio, moved around a lot, eventually settled on just being, declined to state. But it's Tulsi Gabbard, too. I should bring her and Elon Musk and all of those great people, and Vivek Ramaswamy, all of these folks who have come together. It's like here we are as the MAGAs are George Washington's army, and then here comes the French. Here comes the French. Washington probably couldn't have done it by himself any more than Trump could have done this by himself. We have to bring all these people into our fight and make them a part of it. And that's it. We've got the biggest, Mary, we've got the biggest tent ever in the history of American politics.
What they've done is to reach across the party lines and put aside political agendas and their personal agendas, and they said, what is best for America? And you know what? That's what our forefathers did, because they were a very diverse group of individuals, but they put aside personal agendas and put America first. So like that phrase or not, that's what we've got going on, and we have got to maintain this momentum. This momentum is something that is historic, and we cannot squander it. So we, the people, have got to absolutely embrace, adopt, and understand a concept called we're the boss. And we sign the paychecks of these politicians. Yes. And if you're the boss and you sign somebody's paycheck, you give them a task to do. And if they don't do it, guess what? It's just like Donald Trump used to say on The Apprentice, you're fired. And we need to fire you're fired. And if you don't do what we send you and elect you to do, then you will be primaried and you will be fired at the next election.
I could not
we, the people, have
you more.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is a natural. That's a natural for me. I'm a former business owner, and it's just a very natural thing for me. And I am imploring my fellow Americans, remember that your vote counted this time when you thought it wasn't going to. And guess what? Now, we, the people, we are the boss. You need to remember that.
And we need to make this clear to Joni Ernst and to Lindsey Graham and any other senator any Senate Republican who is standing in the way of any of Trump's picks for his cabinet, in particular, right now, Hegseth, Pete Hegseth.
Yes.
If you voted willingly, without threat of being exposed for whatever criminal activity that you've taken part in as a senator, we know you guys are crooks. If you willingly voted to advance every single one of Joe Biden's picks as in his cabinet picks, and you are standing in the way, Joni Ernst, or threatening to, Lindsey Graham, of any of Donald Trump's picks, you're done. You are done.
That's right.
We've got a terrific congresswoman in South Carolina, Mary, by the name of Nancy Mays, who has gone after Lindsey Graham in the past, and I hope she does it again, because I think
she will.
Now we have that momentum coming off this last election, where hopefully in 2026 that momentum will still be strong and solid, and she could give Lindsey Graham the first real run for his money ever.
I think we have a similar situation about to play out in Texas. I hear that Attorney General Ken Paxton is going to primary John Cornyn, and I could not be a happier person. That is absolutely it's the best news ever. And Ken he's one of those people that he says what he means, and he means what he says, and he takes care of business.
You know that Ken Paxton
he's going to get it done.
He is by far, I mean, look, Greg Abbott, okay. And people should know that, Mary's in Texas, I'm in California, I'm in Bakersfield, which I call Little H-Town. I live in Bakersfield. I call it Little H-Town. That's because we're an oil and ag-rich community in Kern County, California, smack dab in the middle of the state. This little town is just like a small version of Houston, but more conservative, actually. I was raised in Texas, and I have great respect for Texas and Texas pride. And I think Greg Abbott has done some fantastic things. But Ken Paxton? Oh, dude. Ken Paxton is the real deal MAGA Republican. He really is. And to go after Cornyn, I could not be more. I'm hoping that Nancy Mays gets in, but you're there. Okay, you're in Texas. So let me ask you, how popular, and I think he is Ken Paxton in the state of Texas today?
He's very popular, and if he wasn't, they wouldn't have gone after him like they did last year. And I mean, it's like that tells you everything you need to know about the guy right there. The Biden administration went after him with everything they had and couldn't pull it off.
No, so they went after him with rhinos and neocons right there, Republicans in name only, right there in the Texas House, right there,
Right.
in Austin.
Well, and another awesome thing that's happened. Are you familiar with the gentleman from East Texas by the name of Dade Phelan? He had been in charge of the House, and he kept making appointments of Democrats to the various committees, even though he's a quote unquote Republican. Yeah. Well, guess what? He's done. He's done. It was announced today.
He was a traitor. He was a traitor from day one. He was never. He was never a part of the Republican Party. He was a plant put in there by the Democrats in their attempt to try and flip Texas blue, and they were going to do that twofold, folks. Texas, they want this is huge to the Democrats. Flipping Texas blue would be the end of the MAGA movement in this country. Boom, that's it. And it would be the end of the freedom and liberty movement worldwide.
Yes.
By flipping Texas blue through two ways. Number one, opening the borders and allow as many illegal aliens in as possible, get them registered as Democrats, and then this jerk that Mary's talking about, appointing all of these liberal Democrats. He's a Republican because the Republicans are in power. He gets to pick the committees, and there you go.
He picks Democrat. So here's what happened to him. Yeah, here's what happened to him. He almost got primaried. He won, but would have lost had it not been for, a handful of people that voted for him in the Republican primary who were Democrats. We have what we call open primaries.
That's what we have here.
And it should not be that way.
No,
if you're a Democrat.
I wasn't aware that Texas did that.
Texas does it. And that's
when did Texas start doing that? Open primary.
I don't know. It's been going on. I don't know when it started. It's been going on for a long time, but
because it's been going on here. I would say it's been going on here for 15 years, maybe 16 years. And for those folks, let's explain that real quick. Because, open primary, that sounds good. Open.
It's not.
Well, I like openness. I think everything should be open. Now, here's what open primary means. Open primary means regardless of your party affiliation, you get to vote in the primary. You could be a Republican and you're voting in the Democrat primary. You can be a Democrat voting in the Republican primary. It doesn't matter. It ends up, here's what the kicker is. At the end of the primary election, you get two candidates. And here in California, anyway, I hope this isn't the extent that they've taken it in Texas, but here in California, if the top two vote getters are Democrats, there's no Republican in the general election.
It does not work that way here. We have a Democrat and we have a
by using the open primary
primary
system, they're setting you up for that. So let me warn you, please, Mary, and spread the word to everyone in Texas. Do away with that open primary bullshit because, honest to God, this is what they're doing. They're setting you up to, and it may sound, we can get two Republicans running and we won't have to worry about Democrats. Don't be fooled by it, folks. Don't be fooled by it. Some people in Texas have been fooled by Republicans who are really they're not even rhinos. They're Democrats disguised as Republicans to advance the worldwide agenda of the New World Order gang.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let you need to change that law. You need to change that law back to a closed primary system because they use that open primary and they convince you, everybody should be able to vote. It should be. And then eventually I'll say, well, you know what we should do? We should two vote getters. Top two vote getters. You're going to have some districts that will never have a Republican win. You had several districts, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have several districts, I believe in West Texas, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, who had never voted Republican or maybe hadn't voted Republican for 70 years that went for Donald Trump.
And
November
also
5th.
Absolutely true. And the same thing is true down in the valley, in the southern part of Texas, where the border issue has been so horrific. That group also went for Donald Trump. And so that speaks volumes right there. But the open primary thing that you're talking,
they had never voted
I think
for a Republican president since World War I, and
right.
holy crap. That's why I'm saying this is historic stuff. This is an
and this
historic time.
Yep. This whole issue with Phelan, I think, is going to really give a lot of clout behind the getting away from open primaries, because I don't remember the number. They were Democrats that had voted in the Republican primary. And if it hadn't been for that, he would have lost the primary and been done. But it still is going to play out.
I really hope
enough
that they get away from that. Let me ask you a question. What are, we brought up Pete Hegseth, and I think Pete's going to be confirmed. I think ultimately he will. What do you think about recess appointments? If they can't get the candidates in through the confirmation process, what do you think about the idea of the recess appointment? They're going to tell us that it can't be done, but actually it can, because Barack Obama did it. Bill Clinton did it.
Wow.
George H.W. did it. Every president has. What are your thoughts on recess appointments, Mary?
I think we should do it because the American people have sent a very clear message with 312 electoral votes behind Donald Trump. They want Donald Trump. They voted for Donald Trump, and they are in favor of his appointments. And if it takes recess appointments to get it done, then so be it. We didn't elect him. Yeah, we didn't elect him to go up there.
It's the way it has been done. If we can't get John Thune to crack that whip and get these other jerks in line, then let's send everybody home for a weekend, and Trump can just sign a bunch of recess appointment. I imagine it's a piece of paper. You just put his old John Hancock on there and get these people in. And then we can get started with what we need to do. Because I think it's brilliant, by the way, that Trump started naming. This is so different than 2016. I think
he's learned a lot.
Yeah, he's got the right people with him now.
What?
I think it's absolutely amazing that he has that he's done that. I can't remember the last time appointments were being discussed with such vim and vigor in November and December. You usually don't get to that point until at least midway through January at the earliest. But the fact that he has started talking about who he's going to appoint and gotten the debate going in advance is absolutely brilliant. We get from day one, January 21st is when he hits the ground running. And hopefully by then we will have pretty much all of these major appointments that need to be, there's 10,000 jobs that need to be filled in the federal government, but there are the leaders of those 10,000 people are folks like Pete Hegseth and others who will be up for Senate confirmation. And hopefully they'll all go through that confirmation process early, which would be, the last few weeks of January into the beginning of February, and we can get things started. I want the DOJ. I want to see investigations into all the shenanigans. I would start with Jan 6. I want to know the truth about the missing evidence. I want to know the truth about the missing tapes. I want to know the truth about the pipe bomb. I want to know the truth about Nancy Pelosi's weird performance in her daughter's video on January 6th. Remember that? That woman is waist deep in the planning, preparation, and execution of those riots at the Capitol. We may never know that, but it'd be nice to at least look into it. But I got a friend
lot of families would like to know what. Right.
Well,
a lot of families deserve some answers.
I think, first of all, we can get that ball rolling immediately on January 20th after he's sworn in. And he goes into the White House and sits down behind the Resolute desk. and takes a piece of paper, writes, "Pardon all 1,500 plus Jan 6th prisoners, political prisoners, signed Donald Trump." Boom. Every one of them gets released. And here's the other thing. I think we need to allow them, we need to hire attorneys. We need to start, Mary, you and I could probably start this and organize a GoFundMe page to hire attorneys to sue the federal government for what they did to those people in those Jan 6 hearings and those trials and all that BS. I want to know every single thing. I want to know all the details about Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney and all the rest of them. I want to know everything. How do you feel about lawfare in reverse?
Yes, we need to go after people who were wrongdoers without a doubt, because if you don't do that, you're setting a terrible precedent. So I think it will happen again.
It's going to happen again.
The Democrats, they have used it. It's been successful for them. It's in their playbook, and don't think they won't use it again. Yes, I would do that. Now, I also am aware that the Democrats could say, "Oh, well, you're not playing fair," and give us some pushback on that, even though they did it.
There's some fear that part of the reason, we hear this, I think there's a lot more to this than just what I'm about to say, but I've heard from, quote unquote, Republican conservatives who are not maybe as open to the Trump administration going after the treasonous bastards that have been working in the shadow government. But there's some people saying that if we attempt a lawfare in reverse, or go after the corrupt, I would love to see Joe Biden behind. I don't care how old he is. I would love to see the entire Biden family jailed for the crimes they committed against this country by taking bribes from China, Ukraine, and Russia. But I don't think it's going to happen. They're all going to be pardoned. So let's get past that and start looking into the other, even not just politicians, not even so much elected officials as people within the Department of Justice, for instance. I want to find out what they have done, and I think it's pretty bad. I think there's a lot of evil going on, and them losing their jobs isn't going to be enough to satisfy me. But the fear is that if we start investigating, and especially if the DOJ files any sort of charges against these people, that the American voting public will turn against the Republicans in 2026, and we'll lose the slim majorities that we have. I actually don't believe that. I don't think there's a downside. I don't think so, because I think the American people, I don't think they're as dumb as some folks think they are. I don't think Go ahead.
People want to see justice done.
Exactly.
I fully believe that. And if they didn't feel that way, we would not have received 312 electoral votes for Donald Trump. A lot of that was because
in the full. There is a faction within this country that is sick of the lawfare, I'll admit. But that faction is sick of the phony lawfare, the phony charges, the railroading of Donald Trump. And I think they're smart enough to know the difference between retribution or revenge and justice. If you present the case to the American people the way Donald Trump presented his case to the American people that won him that November 5th election, I think not only will we maintain our control of the House and the Senate, but we will increase it exponentially come 2026. I think I'm saying this is a very historic time. I'm looking at 12 years of the White House. I don't think maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I think J.D. Vance is going to absolutely destroy Gavin Newsom in 2028. And let's be honest, that's what it's going to be. The Democrats are going to go after J.D. Vance, and it ain't going to work. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Ron DeSantis. I like him, but I'm not a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of J.D. Vance. But look at the way Ron DeSantis handled Gavin Newsom in that little debate a couple of years ago. It was epic. He destroyed Newsom. And I think J.D. Vance is going to do even more damage to Gavin.
I agree. One of the things that I think America loves about J.D. Vance is the fact that he is I won't say he's a self-made man because he's a godly man, but he came from a very poor upbringing. He came from a poor family. He was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Exactly
He's worked for everything he has gotten. The American people respect and admire hard work, and they are tired of people that are being given stuff that they don't deserve. It's called didn't earn it.
You just nailed it. The American people are sick and tired of privilege. Tim Walz trying to paint J.D. Vance as an elitist, what did he call him? A privileged white man. This is a guy, and we all knew because we all read the damn book. We saw the movie. We knew that J.D. Vance's mother was a crackhead. He was white privilege, just the opposite of white privilege. And the American people knew that. They didn't fall for it. Identity politics stuff is dead too, by the way. I think we've seen the beginning stages of the dismantling of wokeism, and I think we're seeing. It's only going to increase the more the Democrats try and pump life into it. This whole thing is dead. Identity politics, wokeism, the whole gender thing is dead. The whole racial strife is dead.
The other thing that has come out of this election is that we have a unified country for the first time since 2008, and that is huge. I have never been so thankful for anything in my life, and that's seeing the unity of people again in America. We don't care about what color your skin is. We are all Americans. Let's work together for the good of our country.
You are absolutely right about that. And it's something that I don't think gets articulated enough. We may have, look, I don't know about you, but I don't trust RFK. But I trust him a lot more than I used to. I'm a little unsure of Tulsi Gabbard, but I'm a lot more confident about her than I used to be. Anyway, I think that we have, and like I say, it's historic. We have something totally unique, and you just nailed it. And it's not that Republicans are getting liberal, because we're not. The MAGA movement is still, while it's a populist movement, is still very conservative. And I think that's a reflection of the mood of the nation. FBI can't do the job, then get rid of the FBI. Right. Yeah, you heard me. I said it. Eliminate the FBI. Cancel the ATF. We have a federal law enforcement group if we need one. Those are federal marshals. Hey, I got an idea. How about how many major law enforcement agencies are there on the federal level? How about we just have one? The same one that Wyatt Earp belonged to. The United States Federal Marshals. It was good enough for Wyatt Earp. By God, it's good enough for us. They didn't have an FBI.
The thing that we have to worry about are people who have infiltrated through our open borders, and Tom Homan absolutely is going to take care of that. He is another man that says what he means and means what he says, and he gets it done.
Love that.
Yes, so do I.
Tom Homan has always been, he was, I didn't even know who he was until a few years ago, and I saw him being interviewed. It was probably Tucker Carlson back when he was still on Fox. And I saw this guy, Tom Homan. I go look him up, and I'm like, I never knew who this guy, I've never heard of this guy. And I'm sitting there going, God, I love this dude. I love this guy. He's got the right attitude, man. And then the announcement comes that he's going to head up ICE and the Border Patrol, and he's going to.
And now the border's open.
I mean, holy crap! Is that guy a badass or what?
To the max. Jaz, this has been awesome today. Thank you for being on with us. We did not get everything discussed that we wanted to, so my solution to that is we're going to come back on again very soon and finish up what we didn't get done
and
today.
There's always, the thing of it is, there's always more stuff.
Jaz, as always, it's been a privilege and a pleasure. You are a delight. Thank you very much for coming back
on Twitter or X or whatever your pronouns are for it, and I guess that would be proper nouns. Anyway, it's at Deplorable Jaz, on X or Twitter.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk again soon.